Hi, I'm Kirsten, the Ectopic Pregnancy Support Podcast host. Thank you for listening, and I hope these stories and conversations bring you comfort and help you feel less alone. Enjoy this episode. Hi, everybody. Today I am doing a solo episode, and this is the beginning of a new Q&A series that I'm going to be doing. Earlier this week, I had asked my followers on Instagram what questions they have for me, and it was more so a general question, nothing too specific. So I am going to answer 4 of the questions that I received, and later down the road I'll do another Q&A series, and hopefully this is helpful and I get some good feedback on the Q&As. So here we go. The first question I'm going to answer is, does the feeling of anger, guilt, and sadness ever get better? Now, when I was in the thick of my experience, I felt like it was never ending. I was always going to be sad. I was always going to feel guilty, and I was always going to have this anger surrounding the situation and, more importantly, my body. These are all emotions that are very normal. I wish they weren't normal for women who've experienced an ectopic pregnancy. But to answer this quickly, I would say yes, it does get better, but it takes some time. I received methotrexate on March 1st of 2022, and I would say it finally got better for me once I got through the holidays of that year. So, it took over 7 months to get better, but I felt like once I hit certain milestones, like I hit the 3 months post methotrexate, now I can start trying to conceive again. And then after that, it was, oh man, it's summertime. I would have been having my baby shower around this time if my pregnancy was viable. And then, of course, the due date came around. And once I got over that milestone, it got better. And then, the holidays are always hard when you're grieving a loss, whether that's a baby loss or a loss of a family member, a loss of a friend. So that's why I say it took me through the holiday season to truly not feel the anger, guilt, and sadness often. It gets better over time, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to continue to be hopeful that there is going to be an end there. Now, even 3 years past my ectopic, I still have those feelings of anger, guilt, and sadness, but it comes and goes super quickly. So just know that it'll still creep in every now and then, but in a completely different way. The second question is, did your doctor give you a treatment option? As I recently stated, I received methotrexate, and at the time, I didn't even know women received surgery for an ectopic pregnancy. I was only told about the injection, and maybe that's because my numbers were on the lower end, my HCG numbers, that my doctor probably felt that methotrexate could treat my ectopic pregnancy and a surgery intervention wasn't needed. So Short answer, no, my doctor didn't give me a treatment option, but I think that was because of where I was at weeks wise, where I was at HCG number wise, and where I was at pain wise. I wasn't feeling any pain whatsoever. Third question, is there hope for a healthy pregnancy after an ectopic? Oh boy, I love this question because I had my rainbow baby following my ectopic pregnancy. So, yes, there is hope for a healthy pregnancy. And I am an example of that. And I know many women who have had multiple ectopics, have had surgery to treat their ectopic, had multiple rounds of methotrexate, and experienced a healthy pregnancy. I've known women of all journeys that have gone on and had healthy pregnancies. So you just have to know in your heart deep down that it'll happen. The timing is unknown, but I truly, truly felt that I am meant to be a mom and I was going to do anything possible to be a mom. And, trying to conceive after an ectopic has the risk of an ectopic happening again. And I was willing to go through that if it meant that I was working towards having a baby. My pregnancy was completely healthy. I had to get my HCGs drawn as soon as I tested positive so that my doctor could make sure my numbers were doubling properly. Now, with my rainbow baby pregnancy, I will say that my numbers were not doubling right away. And there was a conversation at one point with my doctor around my numbers not doubling and for the potential of another ectopic. And I share this because I was holding on hope that at some point my numbers were going to double. And they did. And not that I wanted to prove my doctor wrong, but I knew in my heart that this felt different than when I was pregnant with my ectopic. With my ectopic, I was bleeding since day one. And with my rainbow baby pregnancy, I wasn't bleeding whatsoever. And so I just held out hope that my HCGs were going to double and show a healthy, viable pregnancy. And it did. So I say that just, some pregnancies and some HCG numbers increase slowly. And there is hope that even if that happens in the beginning, they could double eventually. I think maybe I did 5 rounds of blood work, and that 5th blood draw is when we saw the numbers double. So you just have to remain positive and hopeful, and that's truly all you can do. I know it can be hard and it's easier said than done, but um, you know, you just have to know in your heart. You are your best advocate. You know your body the best. The fourth and final question is, do you find relationships being hard after your ectopic? Yes, relationships are very hard. I'm going to first start with the relationship with my partner, and then I'll dive into friendships a little bit. But I don't know if I'd say the relationship with my husband was hard, but it was rocky. We had good days and bad days. For a long time, my husband was just trying to make sure that I was okay. And I love him so much for that. I couldn't have gone through this journey with anyone else. He truly was amazing. What I will say was the rocky part is the physical side of pregnancy loss. I, received the methotrexate and received all the symptoms following. And I had all the hormonal changes, and I was dealing with the postpartum from, carrying a baby. And so the physical aspects, and then it obviously led to mental aspects, is what made our relationship a little rocky. But at the end of the day, it made us stronger. It made us stronger individually, but also as a couple. Now, as far as relationships go, I lost relationships. And I think it goes back to people who haven't experienced a pregnancy loss and that type of grief truly just didn't understand the severity of it. And the fact that it's not an on and off switch, the grief stays with you, and everyone's life just seemed to move forward, and mine didn't. I was just caught up in the feelings and caught up in what was going on. I just felt like some of my friends didn't understand what I was going through. And for that, I'm not friends with them anymore. It's sad to say, but when you go through hardships, you realize who is actually there for you. And I've realized throughout my ectopic and after the ectopic, even 3 years later, puts a new perspective on life. And I think with that lens has allowed me to really just invest in friendships that truly care about me and my well-being and my family's well-being. So if you are currently struggling with any sort of relationship, I see you, because it happens and it's okay that it happens. It doesn't make it easier. It's really sad, and you almost grieve the friend or whomever the relationship is with. But just know that you're not alone. You'll be better off, because you want people in your life who actually care, love, and support you. I hope you all have found this Q&A helpful, and I'm excited to do more solo episodes like this. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Ectopic Pregnancy Support Podcast. If you are looking for additional resources, head to ectopicpregnancysupport.com to learn more about my exclusive online support chat. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. See you next time.